All right, everybody, welcome to the Service MVP podcast. And my name is Joe Crisara, America's service coach. And today we have a very special guest who I've seen online a lot and also at other conferences and things like that. And I recently had the chance to be on stage with this fine gentleman. His name is Sam Taggert, and he is with a company called D2D Experts, a company that goes door to door, shows your people how to do it the old-fashioned way, which is still I think is still essential to really connect with your community. Sam, welcome to our program. I really appreciate this.
No, I'm happy to be here. It was fun sharing the stage with you, man. It was an honor.
Well, it was I was uninformed about your I did see you online, but I really never got the gist of the business. But I did learn a lot about you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how somebody like you winds up being a door-to-door expert, if you will? Could you go ahead and tell us a little bit how you got in this position?
Yeah, I was 11 years old when I first started knocking doors, just like every other little kid trying to sell whatever. And, whether it was fundraisers or, whatnot. But then I took it serious. At 13, I started a business called The Gutterman, where I started painting the addresses on the curbs. I had about 11 of my friends working for me. And we would go out and on our bicycles back in the MapQuest days, and we would go knock. And then when I was 18, so 2008, I graduated high school and shipped out to Dallas, Texas, and sold alarm systems. And I did that all the way till 2015. 2015, I started doing solar and was the vice president of sales of a big solar company. And I was a top performer in the alarm space at one of the bigger companies, Vivint. And then in 2018, January, we threw our first door-to-door con because I felt like there was a mission that needed to be unveiled, which was to unify, up-level, and bring honor and integrity to the door-to-door space. And I felt like too many people, even in HVAC or roofing or whatever industry, they were like afraid to put that mantle on a door-to-door salesperson. They're like, well, I'm a marketer, I'm a contractor, I'm a service guy, but nobody wanted to go to their 10-year reunion and be like, I knock doors. Yeah, look at me. They're like, where did things go south, right? And I remember my grandma would be like, when are you going to get a real job, Sam? And I'm
Right.
doing door-to-door sales through college, you know what I mean? Thinking like, oh, it's a 4-month thing. But I mean, when she's asking questions like this, I'm making $500,000 in 4 months, knocking on doors. And, most people, it's like in their young 20s aren't going to go make $1 million or $500,000. They're not going to be doing multiple six-figure income off of traditional jobs, W-2 jobs. And I'm like, what do you
Right.
mean a real job? What is a real job? So I kept like seeing the same mantra over and over and over again of like, nobody's really taking door-to-door serious. What if they took it as a career, a profession, and became the best at it? And then I decided to start a conference called Door to Door Con, which we do every January. We're on to our 7th this January. We have Lance Armstrong and Chris Voss and all these amazing speakers. We have 60 other workshops, Sean White. And we have 4,000 people there, 100 and something vendors. It's a whole industry. And for the last 7 years, we've been building and training systems online, in person. We have 20 events a year that we do. We have different masterminds. Next week, I take 80 business owners to Tahiti. So we have an owner's mastermind where we meet up and share. But really, I didn't want to be a thought leader. Like, it's funny. I look at like the coaches of the world and I'm like, no, they like that. They're just kind of fake. I hated social media. I hated the whole coaching space. I really just want to throw this event where we helped each other. And I was like, why don't we just share best tips and tricks and share best practices? Because in the world I come from, everybody was a cutthroat and everybody's stealing everybody's people. I'm taking your top reps. I'm taking your top reps. And they hated each other. And after that event, I realized a much more abundance approach, and I couldn't serve two masters. I couldn't be working for a company and be neutral and not like want to steal everybody's people. And so I had to kind of go 2 feet into the training side. And that's kind of what birthed DDD Experts. And now we've consulted now over 400 companies. We've trained over 40,000 sales reps. We've built a massive, simple systematic way to go scale a door-to-door division into companies, which has been really cool.
Well, Sam, let me just say something that I could tell when you started talking when I saw you on stage, like this dude's a brother from another mother. Seriously, when I met you, I'm like, that's exactly how I got started. When I opened a heating and cooling business, I'm like, and funny thing is, I don't know how you probably feel the same way I do. If you love this kind of a thing, there's a sense of comfort, like, ah. I'm just gonna hit that neighborhood and just put my name out there and get to meet people. And I don't know if you feel the same way. It was like this
Oh,
is right for you when you're like, oh man, I feel like I'm at home doing this. Like, would you feel the same way?
oh, we're the 5% of weird people that it's like we get off on like talking to strangers. We're 95% of normal people or like I could never do that. I would never do that. Like I got off a call with a big HVAC private equity company this morning and they're like, we've tried the whole door to door thing. I'm like, the problem is you probably hired a W-2 guy that said he's in sales and he's selling mattresses somewhere and you tried
Yeah,
to make him a door to door guy. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You don't get it. Like you got to go find the people that are carnivores. You got to go figure out how to breed carnivore into people. And when you get the right culture, you get the right people, you get the right training, you get the right support. I would run circles around everybody's marketing campaign. I'll drop my 30 ninjas into a neighborhood and we'll go dominate a neighborhood
uh-huh.
versus, I could run a flyers in that neighborhood and nobody up and called me. Like, you're like,
Yep,
cool.
yep.
Like, I'm belly to belly convincing people to talk to me, and I'm belly to belly closing deals. And I agree, brother from another mother. Game respects game. Like when you're like, I
Totally,
have,
totally.
let me see your knuckles, and if you have calluses like I do,
Oh,
we got,
totally. Look at that.
yeah. I was like, when you got calluses on your knuckles, we can have
Getting
some
that door,
respect.
knocking that door. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's come full circle too, because here at Service, we're kind of doing the same thing. We're hitting contractors' doors and giving them a free trial of our software. And hey, let's give it a try. At least so it has come full circle, and definitely that's why I really believe in the service that you do, and I would highly recommend it. And I can't wait to work more with you. Sam is here though to give us some content so we can be successful and even give it a try yourself if you want to. He can also teach you how to do it with his amazing ninja team. But Sam, let's go give us if you can give contractors 3 solid tips that they can do to begin to become successful in doing door-to-door campaigns to get something like a tune-up on the board, or maybe an estimate on a tankless water heater, or whatever. How about sewer renovations? You got some neighborhoods where there are sewer pipes that are breaking, and you have things like that. There's all kinds of campaigns you could do. But go ahead and give us the 3 tips. Could you start with tip number one? What would you say is
Yeah.
number one?
Tip number one is design a program. Nobody wants to be sold, they want to buy. So if you think of like, how do I pitch HVAC or how do I pitch plumbing or how do I pitch something where maybe they didn't fill out a form saying, help me, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
when I think of marketing, I think of you're going after the people that see the need right away. So they're usually calling a service based on a need instead of that's probably, I don't know, 5% of the population. I want to go after the 95% of the people that maybe have thought about the need, they've seen the need, but they're too lazy to think and call, and they think it's going to be too expensive. They don't have the money, they don't have the person, they don't know who to call. Like, I'm going after the people that like I want to help more proactively, and I'm going to go after 95% of the people. I'm
So
willing to
this is
give more.
like a convenience for those people. Like they had it in the radar, but it's like finally, oh, actually, I was just thinking about this. Like you kind of get that kind
Yes,
of light bulb goes off, that kind of a thing.
you're going to help them see the light bulb, and think of like a roofer. Like, until somebody gets up on their roof and shows them damage, they're not thinking, I'm excited to get new roofs this weekend. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
Like
never,
no
no.
one's just like natural. Like, I'm so stoked to change my HVAC. Like that's the expense I'm hoping to save for this month. Like nobody wants that, and nobody wants to even look at it. Ask me
Yeah,
when the last time I looked at my filter was. Like, I don't even look at my
never.
filter. Let's be
Said nobody
so
ever.
said nobody ever. Like, everybody's like, you're supposed to change your filter every 3 months. It's like, bull. Nobody does that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
where the service pros are probably thinking, of course everybody changes their filter every 3 months. That's what a normal American should do. I'm like, bull crap.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do is tip number one is design a program that gives you a reason. It justifies your why. Why am I showing up to your door? And if it's like, hey, I'm going to show up because I want to sell you a new HVAC system, good luck. But if you're
Uh,
showing up of like, we're running a program based on, Edge Homes put in this Linux that then was about 15 years ago that had a 15-year warranty. So we're actually doing the routine maintenance of a 15-year service check-in. When was the last time you actually had your service, or your furnace tune up, and then you simply say, we're running a program, we're paying for everybody's furnaces to be tuned up XYZ in XYZ timeline with XYZ's neighborhood with XYZ people that qualify, and you may be one that does qualify. And they're like, oh, well, that's a cool, what is this program? Like and I'm just whipping something out, or we're running the free filtration program. They're like, what is that? They're like, basically, our company has subsidized a certain amount of filter replacements for this area. So what that means is, instead of spending our money on marketing on a billboard, which we hope somebody thinking calls us, which is terrible marketing, we actually are doing a same dollar spent into free filtration replacements. So we're just checking on what filter you have, what furnace you use, and so that we'll come back and actually change your filter for free. And they're like, what? And you're like, yeah, it's really cool. It's like our marketing dollar. We just want to give you our card. We want to change your filter for free. And that way you have our information. Well, now I'm in the door. Like, I'm in the house. I'm talking to them. I'm looking at their furnace. I'm like, dude, this is 35 years old, bro. Like, you know what I mean? But I would have never gotten a phone call from some Facebook ad on a 35-year-old furnace that should have been replaced forever ago, unless I went in there and was like, do you like having a furnace that uses twice as much electricity as everyone else? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I start a conversation. So tip number one is have a program. And there's a million ways you could design a program, but it justifies the why. Don't go around just trying to sell something.
Yeah. I did one where I had free water purification testing, because we've had reports of water, different contaminants in the well water in this area. And so we did one where, like, hey, so right now we're offering a free our company's invested in subdivision because our owner has family in the subdivision, so he decided to go ahead and give everybody a free water purification test. Would you like us to go ahead and do that? It's free. You can see the different samples of things that are in the water. And so we believe in the safety and health of the families in this area. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So it's funny because you have to have that campaign, like I call it the special report. Like, what are we trying to do here? What's the higher purpose, in a way? Does that make sense there, Sam?
Yes. And that we call
it's got to be bigger than just, it's got to be bigger than just selling a furnace or a water purifier. It's got to be like the higher purpose is the safety and health of your family and people like that, to make sure that we're comfortable. Does that make sense, sir?
And then maybe have a slick. So maybe tip number two is have
tip number two. We're going. Hang on, let me stage it for you. What's tip number two, Sam?
All right. Tip number two is have some credibility and some resource with you at the door. So let's say that we're going with the water purification samples. What I might have do is I print a slick, meaning I laminate a sample of, here's the 5 things that we found in your local neighborhood's water. Now, not every home we're finding this. It's based on piping. It's based on their purification. It's based on XYZ. So if we were to red flag any of these 5 things, what that causes is cancer or this, that, whatever you want to say.
Right.
And so I have something tangible I can give to them and let them hold it, but not keep it, not like a flyer.
Yes,
it's a split. It's not like, here, I'm passing out flyers, because now that's just a crutch. If you're passing out information, that's a cop out for customer to say, oh, thanks for the information. We'll call you when we're interested, which is not selling. Now you're just a glorified marketer. I don't want to go around handing out flyers on people's door. I'm there to close. I wrote a book called ABCs of Closing. It's all about different closing lines to use on the doors in the home. But it's like, how do you have some kind of ammo to use as a sales individual? And that would be tip number 2. I could go on multiple tips.
No, that's fine. That's good. No, that's good. So basically, you're not giving us something to take with them and think, let me think about it. You're kind of creating to think it over if you give it to them, as opposed to, here, take a look at this and just see what you think. Which of these, if you had to take a guess, which one of these you think would fit in your home? Like, oh yeah, we got to have this part here where it smells like chlorine for sure, and that's like, it's more chlorine than my swimming pool. Oh my goodness. Well, you want us to do that test and check it out and let you know? I mean, we could. It's up to you. It's not for everybody. I always say sometimes I'll do a little takeaway. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Type of a thing there, and they'll say, no, we want to get that done. So that's exciting. That's a really good pro tip about the laminated piece, rather than the giving something that they automatically create to think it over. Sam.
Well, I went to that HVAC conference we just did. Everybody's all about flyering, mailers, like some kind of like marketing material, but that's cool. But ask me how many times I've had a business card. None. I've never had a physical card I've ever given anybody. When they ask
Yeah.
for a card, I say, of course, I'll leave you that all at the end.
Uh-huh.
Meaning, let me step in real quick. I'll jot you down some information, leave you all that. But my goal is to get inside and sell them. Like, it's not to
Yeah.
be the card and flyer guy. I even use that as a close. I call it the knocked on your door close. It's like, look, I knocked on your door. You didn't call me. I'm not the flyer guy that's going back and forth every time somebody calls me. Basically, what we're doing right now in the area is XYZ. And I'll step in and be like, yeah, after we get all this questions and I'll walk you through everything, I'm going to leave you all the information so that you have it all. But that's meaning you signed, paid me, and now you get all the follow, like you get my packet, which I only carry three or four of those. I only carry 4 or 5 flyers maybe that are my packets when I sell them that day. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And I think too many people in sales have this order taking type of energy. So if your team, if you're listening to this and your team is a bunch of lead babies, order takers, what we need to do, and this is what my team does, is we come out and we kind of recorrect. We do some chiropractic work and turn them into more carnivores. And we make some adjustments and we say, what are some micro changes? Like Joe and I talked about, we call it the 6-pack, or, knock around your build, right? Or knock around your service. So if you have a truck that's right there helping a customer, go to the neighbors and say, hey, I just want to let you know what the noise in the racket's going to be going on. And you pitch the neighbors. You're like, if you're anything like these guys, you might have the same problem. But you're kind of unintrusive. But little micro changes where you can get your one dude to go sell one customer from the lead to go talk to 8 more people. So now I have 9 conversations happening, not one conversation happening that day. Now I'm scaling exponentially, and there's micro changes that we can do on a door-to-door level, on a carnivorous hunt, because the lead cost today is going up. And
now, wait a second. Did you just give us tip number 3 without me knowing it?
Oh yeah, sorry. We don't need to limit us to 3 tips, Joe. Like, let's be real.
It's true. We don't have to, but that's a really good one. You gave me the 3rd tip, which is it goes viral. Like, you get out of the one conversation, you can create referrals and other people to get conversations with, and it kind of get a foundation. You got a foothold with somebody. It can kind of really go viral at that point in a smaller way, not obviously, millions of people, but even 9 people out of a 1-person conversation. You get the parents, the family, the neighbors, and you get kind of like they call the law of association, or the social validation, right? Like I was just at your neighbor's house the other day, and he said that you'd be a good candidate for this, or something like that. Does that make sense, sir?
Yeah, I mean, you could even, what I would do to the customer is I would say, hey, I'm going to be talking to all your neighbors. What's their name? What's their name? What's their name? What's their name? Like, don't even be like, who do you know in the neighborhood?
Yeah, just ask her name.
Say, what's their name? What's their name? And they're like, oh, that's Timmy, that's Judy, that's Susan. And I'm like, great. Then I'll go over to Timmy's house and be like, hey, did Joe tell you I'd be stopping by? Or, hey, you're Timmy, right? And you're just like, hey, you're Timmy, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I was just getting done with Joe's next door. He, basically, I'm assuming you're just like Joe, you know what I mean? And you now have like association, like he's saying. And I think most owners or sales reps, they have this fear of rejection. And here's the change that we need to switch is, if I go to lead, then I have no fear of rejection, because it's like, you raised your hand. You're the one that told me to show up. If I go to neighbor, they didn't ask me to show up. So how do we, in our internal belief system, switch to, it's okay to get a no? Nobody, like, no doesn't mean you get shot in the face and you die. Right. No just means no. That's it. Move on. And if we're walking around as like tail between the legs, afraid to get a no in this business, but we're in sales, like, what are we doing? And I'm watching the salesmanship of today's service-based world be extremely soft. And our job is to build more carnivores and put some hunt back in the dog. And even just that micro change of getting them to talk to neighbors will help at least dust some rust off and say, go talk to strangers. They have a lot of opportunity too, not just the lead that was handed to you.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Sam. I firmly believe in the law of action. I believe that the universe rewards people who take action, and they don't reward people who wait for things to happen. And definitely, I'm not sure if you're up for this, but I think I might have to adopt you into my family. And
Yes,
they call me Uncle Joe, but I think I'm going to have to make you an honorary nephew. Okay, is that okay if
yes,
I?
I can be an honorary nephew. Love this.
I can
I'll
make an
come out.
honorary nephew, and it's been what you know what you can always tell this kind of thing is so great because they always say a good podcast starts on time, but a great one ends on time. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a great one because it's gone a little bit over. But you know what? Definitely, I could probably talk for 3 hours for you about with you about this. And Sam, let's not forget to do a really important thing, which is to let people know how they can learn about you and the D2D expert sales service team so they can learn how to do this in a quality way with the right strategy and to like you said expand on these efforts as opposed to feeling like it's hopeless. I think that's the thing about it. So many people like call me like, what do I do, Joe? I got no calls on the board. What's the fastest way to get people on the thing? And I want to tell them this. Now I actually have somebody to go to, and I
Yeah,
can't
we
tell you how
can
many
help.
leads I'm gonna give you. So many leads. I can't even say. You better get ready to get crushed with
Uh,
leads, sir, Sam. You know.
we are the best at that. Like, here's the thing. I watch so many people start these HVAC companies, and they're like, I need 50 grand to start it because I got to get the website and marketing and buy ad space and put all my media together. And I'm like, oh shit. We call that death by business cards.
You're
I
right.
didn't
You're right.
when I started in solar, I didn't even have a shirt. I didn't even have a website. I didn't have a business card. And I'm like, somebody's like, hey, what's your website? I was like, I honestly don't even know. And they're like, what? And I was like, but I was like, it doesn't cost $1. It just costs your freaking blood, sweat, and bloody knuckles. And
Yep.
so D2D Experts, you can find us at the2dexperts.com. You can look us up on YouTube, D2D Experts. And me, the Sam Taggert, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube. But I'd love for you guys to schedule a call with one of our team members where we can ideate whether it's recruiting the right people, whether it's scaling and strategy your business, or whether it's just simple sales training of what to say and how to say it. Those three are our forte. So please reach out. We'd love to help you. And we've helped thousands of contractors all over the country in many different industries. And we're happy to support anybody that's listening.
And you've done that just now on this podcast, helping thousands of people as well. Sam, thank you so much for being here, and definitely it's an honor to have you on this program.
Appreciate it.